So, are you living with a silent killer? Well, in fact, every 2.5 people in the world today actually are, and they don't even know about it. And the scary part is there are no warning signs until it's too late. Now, what am I talking about? Well, I'm talking about high blood pressure. And high blood pressure can come under so many different names. It can be called high BP, it can be called hypertension, it can be called high tension, it can be called elevated hypertension, elevated BP, but it doesn't matter what it's called by your general practitioner. It is high blood pressure. And we don't want it. And why don't we want it? Well, let's just get a little bit of an anatomy lesson going here so you understand how we work as humans. We have this amazing organ in our body called a heart, and this heart is responsible for pumping the blood through your body. Now, what's important is the pressure. How much pressure is your heart pumping that blood through your body? Because if it's too much pressure, your arteries will be getting this force that's happening on a very regular basis, and it could be damaging your arteries and more so damaging the organs in your body as well. Now, with heart disease being the #1 killer of women over the age of 50, we must make sure that our heart and our blood pressure is spot on all the time. We've got to make sure that, again, even though it's pumping 24 hours a day, it can slow down while we're sleeping, but it can also work faster when we're exercising or moving around, or when we're at rest like I am right now. It will have a certain rhythm that's always just, again, rhythmic and working really well. But if, again, doesn't matter what speed it's pumping at, if it's pumping with too much pressure, it is putting too much pressure through your arteries, damaging your organs, and of course you could be susceptible to a heart attack, and we don't want that. So please get your blood pressure checked. And what you should know about is the 2 readings that you're looking for. So invest in a device, a blood pressure unit, and have it at home. Unless you're going to your GP on a weekly basis, who should check your your blood pressure every time you go. But if they don't, you should really invest in your own blood pressure unit, and you should be looking for the reading at the end, which will give it to you automatically, of 120/80 or less. But what does that mean? Well, it's your systolic and your diastolic. So let me again give you a bit of an anatomy lesson. When your heart actually contracts, it's your systolic. And when it's contracting, it's actually pushing the blood through your arteries. And then it fills up again, and that's your diastolic. So it's amazing because it's pretty quick. We're going like this all the time. That's your heart rate. Okay, it's going all the time, that heartbeat that you can feel if you put your hand on your chest. So it's contracting with your systolic, and it's actually expanding to fill up again with blood with your diastolic. Again, it can overfill with blood, and then of course it's got to work super hard to push that blood back out into your arteries. But if your arteries are blocked as well, then there's nowhere really much for that blood to go. So it's got to work super hard again to try and get that blood through your body. Can you understand and see how quickly a high elevated blood pressure, both readings being elevated of more than 120/80, can actually be causing you or raising your risk to have a heart attack? And again, this is, of course, the last thing anybody of us wants, because so many people do not live another day. Okay, it is a silent killer. Blood pressure can be a silent killer. So please invest in a blood pressure unit. Make sure you eat really healthy foods at least 80% of your week. Make sure you drink lots of water. You are not under chronic stress. Make sure, this is one of the most important, you move your body every day. There's not enough emphasis on that. You must move your body with physical activity, cardiovascular activity, so you're working your heart and lungs, as well as strength training every single day, resistance training. It's so important. If you want to live a long, healthy life, I can't tell it to you with better tips than what I've just given you right there. And check your blood pressure very regularly.